Oh, hey there. Was not expecting company today. How's it going? Well, settle down and let me tell you a fun story and a quick fact about myself. So I, like a lot of baseball fans, happen to collect baseball cards. I have a decent sized binder with some of my favorites. I even have the retirement plan set aside. One day, these signed Bobby Wick cards will appreciate in value. Well, once upon a time I found a 2011 Melky Cabrera card that said, back in 2006, the Royals had a tentative agreement to get Melky from the Yankees, but the player going the other way got hurt. This caught me by surprise because I had no recollection of this rumor. Was there any truth to this? Who was the injured player that nixed this deal? And how would Melky impact the Royals in 2006, and maybe even beyond? First, a little about Melky the prospect. Entering the 2004 season, Baseball America ranked him as the 19th best prospect in the Yankee system. After a solid season where he hit above 300 across single A and high A, Baseball America moved Melky up to the 8th best prospect in the system. Unfortunately, his performance dropped off, hitting .269, .319, .402 across AA and AAA. He made his major league debut at 20 years old, a month before his 21st birthday, and looked overwhelmed, especially on defense. In 6 games, his wins above replacement was at -0.5 a point. In other words, his 6 games were poor enough to cost the Yankees half a win over their entire season. This drop-off was reflected in Baseball America's 2006 preseason rankings, where he now ranked 15th. Baseball Prospectus justified this by saying, Cabrera was way over his head in the majors, swinging at everything and looking terrified in the outfield. He's young enough to improve, but for now, Cabrera's stardom remains the stuff that dreams are made of. Not exactly kind words. Despite his struggles the prior year, Melky got off to a much better start for 2006, hitting .385, .430, .566 in AAA, with 24 RBIs in 31 games. He would soon get a second chance at the majors, being promoted after an injury to Hideki Matsui. His hitting streak continued with a .318 batting average for the month of May and improved defense. Impressive for a 21-year-old who's somewhere starting right off. While the hitting streak cooled off in June, he was still contributing to a team with multiple outfield injuries, with Gary Sheffield later joining Matsui on the injury list. While it would make sense for the Yankees to keep Melky, an MLB.com article suggested they were thinking otherwise. A July 14th article mentions a possible trade between the Pirates and the Yankees, with Melky going to Pittsburgh for outfielder Jeremy Burnitz and first baseman Craig Wilson. Burnitz would give the Yankees some veteran outfield help, while Wilson would provide some needed first base depth. Let's just say Jason Giambi's defense left a lot to be desired. Both Pirates players would have been rentals though. Wilson was set to be a free agent after 2006, and Burnitz had an option for 2007 that was likely to be declined. The return makes some sense for the Yankees, but trading Melky here kind of seemed like an overpay. Maybe Brian Cashman viewed Melky as a sell-high candidate, considering some scouts were writing Melky off just a few months earlier. Now, where do the Royals fit in? 2006 marked Dayton Moore's first season as general manager of the Royals. He was hired on May 31st and had a fairly active trade deadline. This started over a month before the deadline on June 20th, where he shipped J.P. Howell to the Devil Rays, notably getting Joey Gathright in return. A month later, he flipped Ruben Gauthier to the Mets for Jeff Keppinger, and then a few days later, he traded former All-Star Mike McDougal in a package that included Dan Cortez, who a couple years later was later flipped for... oh boy. The next day he made 2 more trades, Elmer Dessens to the Dodgers and Tony Graffinino to the Brewers. And then on the day of the deadline he made 2 more trades, notably shipping fan favorite Matt Stairs to the Rangers. As you can see, Dayton was motivated to turn the roster over and bring in his own players. It does not surprise me that he would be interested in a young, major league ready player like Melky. We now know the Yankees were willing to listen to offers involving Melky, but what would a Royals offer look like? First off, the Yankees were looking for first base help, preferably someone who could play good defense. The Royals just so happened to have a solid defensive first baseman on the roster, Doug Minkiewicz. While having a reputation for being a defense-first first baseman, Doug was having a solid year at the plate, hitting .283, .359, .411. He was playing on a 1-year contract, and was viewed as a solid first base rental for a team. Unfortunately, a back problem a few days before the trade deadline sends him to the injured list, which ended his season. I honestly believe Minkiewicz is the player referenced in that baseball card. He was the only notable Royals injury during the week leading up to the deadline, plus he happened to play a position of need for the Yankees. Earlier in the month, the Royals saw injuries to Reggie Sanders and Scott Ellerton, but I do not believe either was a part of the trade. Reggie would soon be back, August 1st to be exact, and Ellerton, let's be honest, no one was trading for him. Now, I do not believe this was a one-for-one swap. Hideki Matsui and Gary Sheffield were still hurt and would not be back for a bit. Someone had to play left field for the Yankees. I'll admit this is me speculating based on the Pirates' proposal, but it would not shock me if Emil Brown was also involved. At the All-Star break, he was hitting a respectable .277, .342, .418, coming off a breakout 2005 where he hit .286, .349, .455, with 17 home runs and a team-leading 86 RBIs and 75 runs. Brown happened to be under team control for 2007, so unlike the other players mentioned, he would not have been a rental. It's very possible this trade would have looked something like this: Minkiewicz and possibly Brown to the Yankees, and at least Melky to the Royals. Maybe the Yankees throw in a depth piece or two alongside Melky, but he would have been the headliner regardless. On paper, this could have been a massive win for Dayton, even if the return was only Melky, as he gets a very young MLB-ready prospect for a couple pieces that were not long-term contributors. Now, what if the trade went through and Melky became a Royal? It leads to a pretty big butterfly effect. First off, if Emil Brown was not included in the original trade, it's possible he gets traded in a separate deal before the 2007 season, with Melky taking his spot in left field. But more importantly, let's say Melky does go on to have a productive 2007. Do the Royals feel pressure to sign Jose Guillen? A big reason for his signing was due to a lack of outfield production. Would Melky have changed that thought? If so, where would the Guillen money go? Would it be reinvested in foreign prospects or free agents? Or maybe even a more familiar superstar? Maybe just save the money for the next offseason even. Did the Doug Minkiewicz injury really lead to one of the most infamous signings of the Dayton Moore era? Melky would end up staying a Yankee until the 2010 season when he was traded to Atlanta. The Royals would eventually get Melky, but as a free agent for the 2011 season. Melky would go on to have a solid season, just to be flipped for Jonathan Sanchez. At least we flipped Sanchez for Jeremy Guthrie. Melky would come back to the Royals at the 2017 trade deadline for a couple prospects. As for the Yankees at the 2006 deadline, they ended up getting Craig Wilson from the Pirates in a smaller trade not involving Burnitz, but they still needed defensive help at first base for 2007. The player they signed? Doug Minkiewicz. Yep, Minkiewicz would become a Yankee anyways, but not until 2007 as a free agent. Yes, Melky alone may not have turned the Royals into World Series contenders before 2010, but it's easy to see how this deal could have re-injected life into a team whose playoff drought spanned over 20 years, and even into the fan base. I mean, the team across the parking lot was about to start the Brody Croyle era, so a young, exciting prospect from the Yankees could have even brought life into this fan base. Somewhere there's an alternate universe that got to experience that reality. Somewhere. Find this video entertaining? Feel free to like and subscribe. If Jonathan Sanchez can win a single game during his Royals tenure, then I'm sure this channel can find a single subscriber. Doubt I can flip this channel for Jeremy Guthrie though. How would that even work? Would Bally get access to this channel, or is he a Royals employee and the Royals get the channel? And what would I even get with Guthrie? Am I responsible for paying the rest of his employment contract? I have a car and student loans to pay off. I can't afford to pay a former major leaguer. And I wouldn't even have the channel anymore, so what would he even do? I think I'd be on the losing end of that trade. I'm getting too far off topic, just like and subscribe. Here's my Jeremy Guthrie jersey.